Let's go ahead and take a look at equations involving fractions and mixed numbers. So y minus 4/9 equals 5 1/3. Now remember, the goal of any equation is to isolate the variable. So in this equation, we're trying to figure out what y is or get y by itself. So we know to do that, it's subtracting 4/9. So we have to use the inverse operation of subtraction, which is addition. So we have to add 4/9 to each side. So remember, what we do to one side of the equation, we have to do to the other side, so 4/9. So we're going to be left with y plus 0, or y equals 5 1/3 plus 4/9. So let's just take a look over here to the side. 5 1/3 plus 4/9. That's what we need to get, because we're adding fractions, we need to get common denominators. So we're going to change 5 1/3 to 5 3/9 and keep 4/9 the same. So 5 3/9 plus 4/9 is going to be 5 7/9. So y equals 5 7/9. And so we plug this then back in for y. 5 7/9 minus 4/9 would be 5 3/9, or 5 1/3. So this one checks out. Let's take a look at another example. Let's take a look at 3/8 n, or 3/8 times n equals 15. Now, this is a little different equation than what we've worked with in the past. When you have, like we have in this example, a fraction multiplied by a variable, what we can do to isolate this variable ultimately what we need to do is we need to get 1n, because that would equal n. So what number times 3/8 is going to be 1? Well, we know when we multiply reciprocals together, the product is 1. So if we multiply by the reciprocal, 8/3, we know that 8 times 3 would be 24 over 3 times 8, which would be 24, which would be 1, or 1n. So remember, what we do to one side of the equation, we have to do to the other side. So we multiply this side by 8/3 as well. So if we did 15 times 8/3, change this to 15 over 1. Remember, if we're multiplying fractions, we read it like a book. So this would be 120 over 3, and when we did 120 divided by 3, that would be 40. So n equals 40. Now if you plug that back in up here for 3/8 times 40 and solve that, you would get that it was 15. So that would check out as well. Let's take a look at one more example. Let's take a look at n divided by 2/5 equals 4 3/4. Now, we look again in our equation. The goal is to isolate the variable, so we want to get n by itself or figure out what n is. So we have division, so we can do the inverse operation of division, which is multiplication. So we can multiply by 2/5. Now remember, what we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. So we multiply this side by 2/5 as well. So n would equal 4 3/4 times 2/5. So let's do 4 3/4 times 2/5. Now, remember, to multiply fractions, it's going to be best for us to have an improper fraction. So this would be 19 over 4 times 2 over 5. So we will have 38 over 20. And when we simplify that down, that would be 1 18/20, or 1 9/10. So n equals 1 9/10.